Hi, everyone, and welcome to PMI Malta Chapter Certification Week podcast. My name is Aysel. I'm a member of the PMI Malta chapter, and I'll be your host today. Today, we're going to talk about certifications, but from a slightly different angle. Instead of focusing on exams, requirements, or study tips, we'll focus on what actually changes in your daily work after you become certified. Project management, as you may already know, has evolved a lot over the years. So we used to measure success mainly by time, cost, and the scope. Today, organizations also expect projects to create long-term value and responsible impact, which brings sustainability into everyday project decisions. I'm personally curious about how these different approaches work together in practice, so not just in theory. So, in the next 30 minutes, we will explore real experiences, how certifications influence the decisions, communication with stakeholders, and ultimately project success. I would like to introduce our speakers. So let's just start by welcoming our first guest speaker, who is Vugar Rustamli. Vugar is an international consultant, trainer, and mentor in sustainable and agile project delivery and training partner of the GPM Global. So he has more than 14 years of experience delivering the international initiatives across the public and private sectors, including the collaborations with the organizations such as UNICEF, WHO Europe, and the European Commission and FIFA. Vugar's work focuses on integrating sustainability, stakeholder value, and practical delivery approaches into project management, and he also contributes to the profession as a mentor and adjunct professor in project management. Today, he will help us understand what sustainability really means for project managers and why it is becoming a core professional competency. Our second speaker is Akif Ahmadzada, our second guest, who is a project engineer, a project engineering manager with over 10 years of the experience in the complex oil and gas projects. He holds both PMP and Green Project Management certifications and works closely with the multidisciplinary teams, technical coordination, and permitting the processes. His perspective is especially in real project environments where decisions have operational and environmental consequences. Today, Akib also will help us connect certification knowledge with the practical day-to-day project work. So let's just start by setting the scene. Let's explore how the changes is actually happening in the real world. Why has sustainability became so important nowadays in the project management as a essential skill? So we have seen a massive shift in how organizations view their impact. So why has sustainability moved from being a nice to have corporate social responsibility initiative to a core strategic imperative for project managers today? Let's start, Vugar, with you. From your experience across different organizations, what do you think? What drove that change? And I will bring Akif just in right after.
Thanks, Aysel. Wow, what an introduction to the topic, what an introduction to speakers. So I'm really glad to be here and to start give my experience and my knowledge on sustainability and why, especially from your first question, why sustainability is important now before than early stages. So it's twofold actually, as you said. First of all, now project management mindset is shifting because, as you said, it's not anymore only time, cost, and scope. There are more than that because we can deliver a project idealistically within time, cost, and scope. Still, the result maybe not gonna be in good shape, in good quality, or maybe our stakeholders will not be satisfied. So that's why this is the first reason, like focusing on value more than the triangle, classical triangle. The second part, for a long time, green initiatives was an extra cost, like something a company did if they have leftover budget, some like printing, not printing, like let's say putting something in the office and calling it like sustainability, or planting trees was just only about sustainability, but it's more than that. And there are some like research by PMI and GPM. They found out that if projects have sustainability factor in success criteria, they are like they are double and triple more have chances to satisfy their stakeholders. The second data I can give you in potential annual business value of sustainable projects by 2030 gonna be 10 trillion US dollars. And the third one is the green talent gap by 2015 gonna be doubled from now. So there's a huge gap in project management that require to focus on sustainability. Also, there's a huge gap in sustainable products as well. So it's twofold. And to answer your question, like in a nutshell, what drove the change? It was not just doing the right thing. It was the realization that sustainable project management is simply better project management because it helps you to focus on long-lasting solutions. It helps organization to focus on how we can deliver value beyond classical triangle. And it's about delivering long-term value. And it's generally a topic which is very near to me in terms of I did many projects which had sustainability focus, and I studied in my master's degree in ethics and integrity with the mainly focus on legacy, and legacy is one of the key pillar of sustainability. So I believe it can be a start for question number one, and I hope in next questions I will deep dive in more about GPM and the factors and frameworks, how we can practically use it in real world. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Vugar. And Akif, you're observing the same shift on the real technical projects. Are the stakeholders now they are asking like different questions compared to a few years ago, maybe?
Yeah, okay, the first question, but okay, I'm firstly greeting everybody. Thanks a lot for this great podcast ever. So I'm quite happy to be a part of it. So basically, yes, to answer the question, just um, my word could be yes, they ask, but okay, let's come to the very core point is in the reality it is depending on that the client and then the requirements and specifications and the real scenarios, because on projects where sustainability is clearly embedded in scope and stakeholders, and of course they are definitely asking advanced questions already. And then when the time and let's say years are going ahead, and then people are getting more focused on that, like a green energy and then green like a planet, because they are already threatened to live in the let's say polluted planet, and then that might bring that end of the world by that way. So therefore that mindset already is getting grown and then developed in the people. Therefore they are having very scientific question in this space. So basically the questions are about carbon footprints, life cycle, like cost, energy efficiency, and long-term resilience. But on more traditional projects, the focus is still mostly schedule and budget. So basically, people are focusing on the mostly how to move the project ahead, how to earn more, and then have the benefits, make the analysis, and then these kind of things are just the routine work of the people. But mindset is getting a little bit reduced by these big factors, which is most let's say earning the minded way out. So basically yes, this shift is happening, but it's not that even. It strongly depends on that how mature the client is, and then how sustainability is defined in the contract from day one. This is reality. That's it.
Thank you, Akif. We have talked about like why sustainability actually matters. Now, let's just clarify what it actually means. I would like to ask Regard. So, many people they think that sustainability is just about being green or just environmentalism. How does GPM define sustainability in the context of the project lifecycle? And let's say what does it mean to be a sustainable project manager?
Yeah, good point. But first remark to Akif, that's really interesting facts. And again, I said that was a really good idea to bring like on theoretical way how it looks like on papers and how it in business in different from different angles. So I am again ensured that it all the time depends. It depends. In project management, it depends on stakeholder, customer, and the mindset of the people. But back to your question number two. So You're right. The biggest misconception about sustainability was like planting trees, reducing plastic should be enough. Environment was the main topic for sustainability, but GPM especially defines sustainability through a much broader lens, and they call it P5 standard.
Mm-hmm.
To be a sustainable project manager, so they promote this P5 standard to be a mindset first, and then in order to be able to showcase in real project world. So P5 means like first thing first, people. Like it's all about social
Mm-hmm.
aspects, labor practices, health and safety. And as you see, there's nothing about the environment. So it's about people, focusing how we can be sure that our project is not harming the people. So we are affecting people in a good way and a positive way. The second is planet, which is the hot topic, environment. It's environmental factors and impacts and resource management. Like how can we be able to be sure that we have enough resources as a world? And as Akif said, if we don't care it like scientifically, there's like huge and really bad like forecast for future. Third is prosperity. This is economic return and long-term financial viability. So still companies pushing on financial part, it's okay, but if they also consider P5, it will be better, not only prosperity. And number
Mm-hmm.
four is process in P5, which is like how actually we run the project, because we need to be sure that we have a governance, we have ethics at the same time. Ethical relations and compliance is important in any project we do. And number five is product, which is now hot topic for PMI as well, because there was a war all the time. What is product management and project management? And recently, if the many people like listen to it from PMI Malta or other chapters, there is a new report on it, like how aligned project management and product management, because in the end they do the same. So we deliver a result. So and in P5 it say we cannot think about project with like, oh, I delivered that. So we need to think what's gonna happen for my product when it goes to the shelves. What happens to the product when people start buying it? Like the future long-term vision on the product should be in all the projects we do. So maybe I can give an example, like short example from event industry. When we have events in different countries, large organizations like the governing bodies, all the time they say, okay, you are building a new stadium, prove us that it's going to be sustainable. Prove us that it's going to be legacy. Like you don't build stadium only for the tournament. Like you will keep it for the people. It will be open for the community. So this is the mindset that P5 tries to have in the standard. So to be a sustainable project manager or let's say green project manager, the project managers need to shift from task mastering to value creator. And I like what PMI say. PMI call project managers change makers. Like you need to be change maker and by delivering
Exactly.
value, not only delivering task and checking dashboard and providing a report. It should be more than that. Yeah, that's my point with this question.
That's a good point, and I think it's like a more like we have to be more cautious, not just from one angle. We have to be cautious from different aspects, which actually bring a huge impact to any project. So, I thank you, Vigar, for this. I would like to ask Akif also, can you share maybe a moment where a technical decision had a sustainability impact, even let's say if nobody initially called it sustainability? Did you ever experience it in the practice?
Definitely. See, exactly. The many times sustainability just they show up without being labeled as such. So, for example, one of my projects in the past, we've been like a scope like having some routing of one underground pipeline, just everybody knows, in order to just to reduce the clashes in unnecessary lengths. So that would be having some cost saving the way, so that that initial goal was just the how we call constructability and cost. So but the impact, there was a less material use, less excavation, less fuel consumption of the equipment, and then shorter installation time. So then we unconsciously we just reached to the one sustainability that we've never known it. So no one has called it like sustainability initiative. It was just a smart engineering, I mean, therefore, while we've been just the students on the GPM, and we've been taught like, okay, your mindset should be sustainable in order to have these goals at the end of the project, like being sustainable under these specific goals that would have would be the big the goals of the process. So, but and that point, the sustainability is just technical projects often hides inside good engineering decisions. When you reduce rework, reworks, optimize materials, improve efficiency, so that you are reducing the environmental impact at the end of the day. So even if the driver was was schedule or cost, so that you are diving into this kind of deeper. And the one more last thing that I've ever liked that Vugar can prove it. So the green procurement. So since vendor management and potential bidder lists have not been established or updated, the fast delivery options will have a big carbon emission impact. So that is undeniable. So it's coming from the procurement management. I think procurement management plan shall have always this dedicated clause in the green procurement from now on in order to reach that sustainability goals.
That's actually a great practical example, and it shows how sustainability often exists before we even label it so. But awareness, it still varies a lot across the organizations and the professionals. So now we understand what sustainability means at the project level and how it affects the daily decisions, as you mentioned it, Akif. So to put this into the context, for the listeners, for PMI members who may be hearing about it for the first time, Vugar, what is the GPM Global and how does it partnership with the PMI? So to help the bridge the gap between traditional project management and the regenerative practices, please.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good point. GPM Global, like to put it simply, is a social enterprise and organization that started in 2009. And it was a pioneer organization in sustainable project management focus. And they are the creators of P5 standard. And also there's a framework called PRISM framework. So there's a two key framework and standard by GPM. And it was around more than 15 years already. And the partnership with PMI was a logical ending of the process, like because GPM was like getting like more interest across the globe, and PMI was trying to be even like making it broad and wise in the world. Because for PMI now, maybe everyone has seen it, like last 3 years, there is several key dimensions which is important for PMI, and one of them is sustainability. And it was a game changing like situation when we heard that PMI and the GPM joined and they had a joint venture, which is activated since last year. And since that time, there were many changes and transformation. Like now, GPM like had a chance to have a global scale through PMI, and PMI had a chance to focus on sustainability. So it's a win-win situation for GPM and PMI, and of course for the people. And now, exciting part of this, it's a shift over to regenerative practices, because regeneration is different than because I am not harming is not enough anymore. You need to regenerate, and I can give you like for example. Regeneration take it further. Like it asks, for example, can this project actually restore what was broken before? And if you are building a new factory, let's say, a sustainable approach might be to use solar power. For example, you say, I'm building a factory, I will use solar power. But this is simple sustainable approach. If it is regenerative approach, which is the new modern approach, will be to design the factory, which will also clean the local water supply as well. So you are using solar power, plus you are like restoring the water surrounding area, like helping biodiversity. So this is regeneration. This is doing more, like doing more than not harming. So that's why it's even like as we see that AI is booming, same in sustainability, like the standards and expectations are changing. And what is happening through PMI and GPM, they do a lot research on it. There is so many reports on it. And the good part from GPM, all the guidelines and guidebooks and the reports and the standards are for free for anyone, even non-PMI members. So this is really good because it's also sustainable mindset to have to give access to anyone who want to learn and use GPM approaches in their real projects
Exactly. So it provides all the basically tools for
for free.
project
For
managers
yes.
to get it for free. So, from a practitioner perspective, then, Akiva, I'm just turning towards to you again. So, does that collaboration make it easier to apply sustainability alongside establish the PMI frameworks? So you hold both. I know when it comes to the certification. So you have the PMP and you are holding also GPM. So when did PMP actually help you, and when did GPM help you more?
All right. That's perfect question. Yes, exactly. The both of them helps. So the collaboration makes such, like no, like let's call it like that. This collaboration make it much sustainable, and then that has to be integrated into scope, risk, procurement, and stakeholders, all core PMI areas. But PMP gives me the structure and control. It helps just formalize requirements and manage executions properly. But GPM helps me think differently so that these two things are like they working simultaneously, but from the different perspectives. You believe in me, that is that way of like the having this thinking, especially in early stages, asking about life cycle value, environmental impact, and long-term consequences. That is too much like helping to understand the mindset, like how we are going and then what we will reach at the end of the project. So basically, to be short, PMP helps deliver the project, right? GPM helps ensure we are delivering the right project.
I cannot agree more about it. Thank you for this. So it brings us actually the bigger ecosystem, right? And how the methodologies connect. So since this is a PMI certification week, so let's just bring the discussion to the career development as well and next steps for our listeners. Vugar, one of the high demand certifications right now is the GPM-b certificate. Can you explain what this certificate is, who it is for, and how it is differentiated? It varies from a traditional PMP.
Yeah, good point. I like the flow, how the questions go. I think the Akif, how Akif represented the idea of PMP, the difference PMP and GPM. It was in my mind to say so. He already told it. So
Yes.
theoretically, it's what he said. Yeah, PMP, which is a gold standard, was around like 40 plus years by PM. Like it's one of the gold standard certificate. Of course, there are more, but let's focus on PMP. So it helps to understand how to manage the project, starting from like
Mhm.
initiation until the closing. But of course, now adding like last 5 years focusing on agile and hybrid. But GPMB is like add-on to understand how we can be sure that we are doing the work sustainable and responsible way. So this is how what GPM teaches us. And the certificate wise, it's called GPMB. It's a foundational certificate, a knowledge-based certification.
Mhm.
It's designed for anyone, like from entry level to senior directors. The first thing first to mention for listeners or who are gonna watch it and listen to it, it's it's more open to everyone. So it's not required to have PMP, first thing first. But of course, we're gonna talk about it. If you have PMP, you have extra bonuses, let's say. But it's open to anyone. Anyone who would like to learn it, they can learn and go to exam to understand more about GPMB. The focus is on impact, like GPMB fully focused on impact, how we can be understanding the impact of the projects. It focused fully on P5 frameworks. What I mentioned just 5, 10 minutes ago. It teaches the whole P5 framework. There's ontology one by one. You can take the practices and literally, not only for exam, even in practical way, you can do it immediately. And it's global aligned. GPMB fully mapped to UN SDGs and ESG reporting. So when someone has GPMB, it showcases that you have a knowledge and it's aligned with the global standards because now there are going to be many European Union level, the world like global level of directions by governments to be more sustainable for the companies for reporting. So GPMB is a good and reachable and very smart decision for anyone who would like to know more about sustainability. And one more point, PMI now has 8 dimensions for shaping the project work. Like, and PMI president is sharing it all the time. It's 8. I will tell like first 4. First one is AI in project management. Literally, the second one is sustainability in project management. The third one is agile and agility, how it's changing. And the 4 is PMOs. So this 4, like there's 4 more, but this 4 top 4 focused by PMI that they share globally to be sure that the project professionals or the people who want to become project professional, they go through these lenses and sustainability is number 2 according to PMI frameworks.
That actually helped to clarify who this certificate is aimed at. So But we also know there are like two options for the GPM-b exam. One for the professionals with the prior project management education or certification, and another for those without the PM background. So what's the difference then between these two?
These two. Yeah,
Uh,
that's a good
and
question.
yeah, and
Mhm.
let's say, how can GPM-b become a next milestone for the
Milestone.
professionals who actually already hold CAPM and the PMP certifications?
Yeah, that's a nice point. Yeah, so for listeners who already have a PMP or CAPM or official project management
Mhm.
degree, bachelor's or master's, there is an option called recognition of prior learning pathway. So in this case, they study less. They just learn sustainability focus, P5 and Prism, and their even exam is half, which is economically good, also technical is easier. So
Mhm.
anyone having PMP or CAPM or prior learning of project management, this, as you said, I said, it can be next milestone because for PMP holders, it's like next add-on. As Akif said, you know how to build a project from scratch, but now let's have another lens of sustainability. But if you don't have any of this education, formal certifications, still you have a chance, then you're gonna get again learning, but the questions gonna I can even give the numbers. If you have PMP, the questions gonna be 75 questions on the exam. If you don't have it, gonna be 150. The difference is in if you have PMP, it's gonna be only sustainability questions. If you don't have PMP or CAPM, it's gonna be project management plus sustainability questions in the exam. So this is two different pathways, but still, as you see, GPM is so inclusive, not depending on your background and certifications. You have a chance to get GPM-b certification.
Thank you, Vugar, for this. And Akif, from your own perspective, from your own experience, let's say, uh, based on your journey actually for both certifications, why and who do you think actually should consider GPM-b as their the next step? So, what do you think about it?
Yeah, exactly. I really do agree with the statements that mentioned by Vugar. So I really love the statements because this is something that integration with the PMI or like PMP, it is the great the idea of somebody like which is very ideal for the project professionals to have the GPMB right after the PMP in order to like have this continuation very well recognized, and then do not go beyond the the like um, do not go beyond like deviation from the one mindset, because yeah, you are doing this traditional project management, especially like PMP holders are involved such. So but want to move beyond scheduling cost thinking, so then the green mindset also should be a part of it. So therefore, as soon as I just was certified from the PMI for PMP, then I've been like interested in how can we have this something right after it in order to make our planet alive for the decades, let's call. I cannot say centuries with some doubts for that. So basically, GPMB is for the people who are involved in basically traditional methodology based projects, which are the construction, infrastructure, energy, and industry, where projects have a long term environmental and social impact. So basically, if you are starting to hear questions about like ESG, SDG, carbon footprint, life cycle value, responsible procurement, some green words, and you want to respond strategically, not just operationally, therefore GPM is very strong next step. So it's less about adding another certificate and more about expanding the decision making lanes. So that's it.
Great insights. I think that's very helpful for anyone actually planning their next certification step. Uh, just to wrap things up, let's just do a quick closing round for our podcast. I'm going to ask the short answers. I would ask you the questions and I would like to reply short answers. Let's say first thought that comes into your minds, just a quick answers, and no overthinking, please. Okay. So I'll start with Vugar and then move to Akif. Biggest myth about PMP. Vugar first.
Okay, so just 2 seconds for me. I think still misconception is misses. It's about only about predictive project management, but it's vice versa. Now it includes predictive, hybrid, agile. Even from July 2026, it's gonna be more agile, less predictive.
And Akif?
Yeah, biggest myth is like it's just certification or passing an exam, so having something to study. But many people see it's like as a badge to share in the LinkedIn. But okay, real PMP value starts after the exam. It's just how it's about how to think and then how you structure problems, manage trade-offs, stakeholders, and make decisions under pressure. So the certificate is just the entry ticket. The mindset is real asset.
Let's just, Akif, let's start with you
All
this
right.
time. So, biggest myth then about sustainability.
Okay, this is just
Just a short answer, don't worry. So, just to keep it
no
short, what
worries.
comes first to your mind?
Um, oh my God. So that's something everybody approaches to that like environmental. So then we are gonna be saving the world. So okay, this is not like that way because they make it's real. It's just reality. Sustainability is about just having environmental responsible social impact and long-term economic value. So it's not just solar panels and green labels or any kind of ESG and SDG goals. So it's often just smart engineering, reducing waste, improving efficiency, and thinking life cycle instead of short-term cost.
Okay. One mistake certified project managers still make. Vulgar?
Okay, so it's what I see most of them. I don't want to say everyone, most of them, they stop learning process after having a certificate. As Akif said, I think he said it's not only certification. So in the first question, so I think it's really important for project managers to have learning agility mindset and long-term learning mindset. Not stop learning,
Mhm.
never, never.
Akif, what do you think about it? What is the one
Mm,
mistake certified project managers still make?
okay, my point could be like never research more and get to know new approaches and techniques. And more important one that they fail to tailor the tools and techniques as per the scenario they face. So basically, the good project managers are getting recognized or are being or are become in the practice and experience.
All right. The next question will be one habit that separates great project managers. What is the one habit that separates great project managers?
Mm,
Akif, can we start with you?
yeah, sure. It's ownership. They basically they take full responsibility for the project and outcomes and challenges, decisions, not just their tasks. Okay, so it's not just a matter of being doers. It's like
Mhm.
decision making scenarios basically. So okay, they don't pass problems along, so they own and until they are resolved.
Thank you.
Nice.
Vulgar?
Yeah, I think I will say two habit, servant leadership practices and clear communication. That's really important. That can make a huge difference how project manager A and project manager B is different from each other.
And finally, one in one sentence, what should a project manager start doing tomorrow morning?
I
Vulgar?
start. Okay. I will say understanding the current stage of the project because you say tomorrow, right? But this means they have a project. So they need to go tomorrow and check the current state of the project and trying to bridge the gap between what was planned and what is the actual situation. Because this is really important. I have seen many projects, like tons of projects, they had a wonderful strategy on paper, but the realization was like there was a huge gap. So they need
Mhm.
to bridge the gap as soon as possible.
Thank you. That was a great way to end today's discussion. And it showed that certification are not just about passing an exam. So they are actually influencing how we think, how we communicate with the stakeholders, and how we make decisions during the projects. So traditional project management gives a structure. That's in its own uh, let's say framework. So while sustainability adds long-term responsibility, and together they strengthen the project success. So, Vugar and Akif, I would like to thank you both for sharing your experience and practical insight, which was, I think, very helpful for all the listeners today.
Thank
And
you, Aisel. I was really enjoying be part
Thank
of
you.
your podcast as you host and sharing the stage with Akif. Thank you.
Thank you too.
And I would like to thank also everyone listening as part of the PMI Malta Chapter Certification Week. I'm Aisel, and we hope this conversation helps you choose your next learning step and apply it in your current projects or in your current practice. See you in upcoming the PMI Malta chapter events, and I hope that was very helpful. Until next time, and take care, everyone.